Alien abduction, a new strand. October 11, 2019. Below is an interesting article posted by Nuno Alves, owner of the UFO Portugal website, Alien abduction, a new strand. This post is for all those who think that alien abduction is not real. Here is a new theory of what may actually be happening. Story of my book, A Citizen's Disclosure on UFOs and ETI. With respect to Kathleen Martin in her new book on alien abductions, psychological and physiological effects of UFO/FTA encounters, Human Preservation Program HPPH hypothesis. I can believe that alien abductions are still being taken seriously by UFO investigators and psychologists in light of covert military programs that use reverse-engineered alien ARF alien ship ARVs and programmable life forms PLFs that resemble small ashes in high abduction scenarios caused by extraterrestrials but with false flag labs. Military abductions. These are American man-made military creations, manufactured in secret domes deep underground military bases such as Dugway and Dulce bases, etc. in cloning and hybridization. USAP's unrecognized special access programs that manipulate the DNA of real alien beings with human and bovine DNA. These PLFs can best be described as cyborgs or computer-controlled cybernetic organisms by implanted electronic circuits. This has been verified by several first-hand witnesses involved in such programs, both in the US and the UK. This revelation has polarized the UFO community into two dividing fields, and evidence are being built in favor of the PLFs, which have hit many people with the realization that in the dark world of science there have been discoveries that are now 50 years ahead of science. Conventional that confuses the imagination. Current UFO investigators and psychologists have real psychological problems in dealing with the PTSD form of witnesses/victims of fake aliens/military kidnappings. However, these are not real TSI encounters. The failure of the UFO investigator and psychologists to recognize the reality of the secret USAPs employing PLFs who fly ARVs means that they are trying desperately to protect their belief system from the alien abduction phenomenon that they may not fully understand or their own research body of work they built their reputations on. There is a third explanation that resolves this dichotomy of differing opinions for those who insist that extraterrestrials are abducting humans for subversive reasons. Therefore, I hypothesize the Human Preservation Program. UFOs often tax witnesses' sense of reasoning and credulity, and generally their reluctance to report the sighting is often characterized by silence for fear of ridicule and disbelief by family, friends, and public officials. No one will take them seriously because they disagree with their sense of reason. People who see UFOs can describe the experience as happy, as a sense of oneness or loss, filled with anxiety, pain, panic, anger and terror. When extraterrestrial beings are encountered, as well as the observation of a UFO, experiences can be punctuated by amnesia, wasted time, informative impact of foreground, terrible warnings, medical examinations, interspecies sexual interaction, healing of illness and injury, and donation of gifts or psychic abilities. In this overload of emotional chaos derived from an experience beyond comprehension, the witness will attempt to gather some state of rationality in order to bring about a perspective of normality from a set of irrational circumstances in which he was a reluctant participant. Without emotional stability in the witness's life to deal with a UFO event or someone to report their story in order to receive assurance and support for their experience, their mental state may be affected. There could be a cascade of uncontrollable emotions, your disturbed sleep pattern, your disturbing and recurring dreams. Your relationships with family, friends and co-workers could also be affected. In most cases, however, people are reasonably stable. Their coping mechanism is usually flexible and strong enough to handle almost all life's challenges. So they often find the experience an unusual one-off event and relegate it to cafeteria jokes with trusted friends. Side effects of a UFO sighting are traditionally viewed with skepticism by the general public, depending on what kind of informational conditioning they have been influenced by the media, the military, the government, and the scientific communities. UFO witnesses are then labeled as crazy, paranoid, delusional, crazy and advertising or as pranksters and scammers. The public can also see these UFO witnesses as people who are rationally reporting exactly what they claim to have seen and that there is a real need to have a scientific investigation into the phenomena. Other people will wait and see the approach, basing their final decision on all the evidence at some formal government disclosure event. Still others in the public will see these UFO sightings as some kind of new divine revelation and will develop an increasingly common religious cult today. History has shown that when it comes to the UFO phenomena, many New Age ufological religions have emerged, with some of them still active to this day. Why do some people feel the need to deify an alien mystery? This would definitely be the time and place for an army of psychologists to resolve this socio-cultural behavior. It would be completely different if humans and extraterrestrials knew and decided on a new religion in which both species shared a similarity. However, this is not the case at present, but the reasons for these individuals and their psychological profile remain to be suspected. Kidnappings are another area that requires research from psychologists in partnership with other scientists, as there are many strange reports indicating medical examinations for species hybridization or human tracking and control. The literature is mature with this kind of documentation. However, the database for this aspect is seriously flawed. There are many stories that also tell of a military presence behind what appears to be an alien abduction, with military or scientists dressed in black uniforms or unidentified black helicopters patrolling nearby. Such abductions are known as military abductions or MILABs. The current crop of psychologists seems to lack comprehensive research into this alternative possibility, failing to delve deeper into the associated reports that indicate more human-type interventions that are perpetuating scenarios of alleged UFO abductions. This is probably the case where the pieces of the puzzle look similar but do not really fit together or provide an accurate perception of what is really going on. Understanding all the specifics of a witness report of a UFO or ET event from which they had a traumatic encounter, such as a possible alien abduction experience, is essential in diagnosing and assessing the psychologist before establishing a final conclusion of the event at a physical event. Genuine or delusional psychological trauma. There is another possibility, however, that seems to have been overlooked by UFO researchers, scientists, sociologists and psychologists and almost everyone else interested in this phenomena. And if the current form against the TSI that prevails in the UFO mindset that is seen as an alien abduction was not really a true malevolent alien abduction? What if it wasn't even a military pseudo-alien abduction MILAB's program, though still by far the most likely explanation to date, but something more like a desperate act of intervention by one or more intelligent extraterrestrial species trying to secure the ability survival of another rather primitive intelligent species, the human race. This is the basis of the Human Preservation Program hypothesis, in which the TSI is concerned with the survival of humanity because of our propensity for global war and conflict. The concern of the TSI and perhaps its true agenda of reaching Earth is the use of weapons of mass destruction, such as nuclear weapons. No wonder a red flag appeared on Earth when the aliens saw the US explode nuclear bombs in the Southwest and then drop 2 nuclear bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan, to end the war in the Pacific. This also resulted in the Roswell incident in 1947, but it unleashed a massive decades-long ETI mission to fly over all nuclear weapons sites in the US, Russia, the UK, Canada, China and around the world. We were being watched by the TSI, unlike any other time in our history, because they were deeply concerned about our ability to blow us up and destroy this beautiful planet we call home. Perhaps Dr. Stephen Greer is right to say that there is no evidence of aggressive hostility of alien intelligence to humanity. Consider the following and ask, who is the malevolent species and who is the benevolent species of intelligence? Dr. Greer provides an excellent personal example of his former trauma medical practice as he told of an experience of dealing with parents who took their child to the medical emergency because he stopped breathing and was turning blue. A quick examination of the child revealed that something was lodged deep in the child's trachea and that it wasn't possible to extract the foreign body from the child's throat in the usual medical manner with tweezers. The only logic to save the child's life was to perform an emergency anesthetic tracheotomy and remove the obstructing body. Two parents watching outside the emergency room. The doctor who works with their child seems to be the embodiment of evil, performing horrible surgery on the child as he cuts the child's throat, releasing blood all over. the side while the nurses are holding a panting and possibly battered child who is trying to breathe. When the external obstruction is finally removed, only then will the parents realize that the doctor's necessary actions help save their child's life. No doubt they would now be deeply grateful for their professional skills. In a similar situation in Nicolas Cage's film Numbers, where the perception of events that seem initially unknown involving numbers, dates, latitudes, and longitudes, Nicolas Cage attempts to understand those numbers that seem to predict future events ahead. Only at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, does he realize that these numbers were given to psychically intuitive Earth children and some adults by the intelligences. Aliens is a terrible warning of Earth being destroyed by a huge solar flare. As aliens arrive, they come only to children, not adults, as not everyone can be saved. It is an opportunity for a humanity of children to restart another world again, to discover innocence through the eyes of a child, without the baggage of preconceived notions by adults and prejudices that have hindered the advancement of humanity. The point here, and there are many examples of TSIs that set foot on Earth taking biological samples from a diversity of plants, animals, aquatic, terrestrial and avian creatures, minerals, etc., that many seem a mystery to any observant human being. So why would it be strange if these visiting TSIs were also collecting human DNA, sperm and eggs from people who claim to have been kidnapped by aliens? Is this the real reason for the so-called alien abductions of humans? After all, if we are also collecting plant seeds and storing them in cold rooms around the world to protect these diverse plant species that are beneficial to humanity, why would it be any different if an intelligent ET thought that human DNA, sperm and eggs, should they also be preserved and protected? Perhaps a rethink is necessary for those who claim to have been kidnapped and see it as a really positive, not frightening and traumatic scenario, as portrayed in science fiction movies. Perhaps these people who claim alien abductions are really lucky, because it would be their DNA, sperm and eggs that can restart humanity again, on this planet or on another Earth-like planet like the new Adam and Eve. If that happens, the generation of humanity eventually disappears from existence. At least future generations will continue to exist, but not this generation of humanity. Take time to pause and reflect on this potential reality. Perhaps this is the real alien agenda, not the supposed invasive medical hybridization program, with the end result of the complete conquest and replacement of humans by hybrid humans. For example, Dr. David Jacobs. Perhaps they think this generation of humanity may be a lost cause, given our penchant for tribal warfare and self-destruction, along with the decimation of all bioforms on the planet, including the planet itself. Perhaps the diversity of the TSI that visits Earth sees something in us that is worth saving, but not the present human population, which seems too slow to comprehend the consequences of their actions, which seem indifferent to the spiritual teachings and warnings of the prophets, who are too involved in the acquisition of material things in life. Anything else need to be said? Perhaps humanity, through divine intervention in the form of extraterrestrial intelligences, will give humanity a second future opportunity for survival. But this present generation of humanity may not be part of this glorious future, and any second chance will depend on the actions of this current generation of humanity. But time is slowly running out.